Today, on Be Something Wonderful, how to deny and ignore unwanted 3D events and conditions. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators and members, welcome back. Big video today, and this comes from a session I had, and this particular client said, Tom, I feel like I'm in denial. Hear the wording. I feel like I'm in denial. I've been ignoring 3D reality, denying the negative or the unwanted conditions, but things only seem to be getting worse. Hear what they're saying here. I feel like I'm in denial. In other words, they're denying and ignoring those 3D conditions, but they're still believing in them. Do you hear it? That's why they feel like they're in denial. They're ignoring them, but they're believing that they're solid. They're believing that they're real. They're believing that they'll continue. That's why things seem to be getting worse. You continue to create the reality of unwanted conditions, the reality that you do not desire. When you deny and ignore 3D conditions and events, the judge unwanted, but still, hear this, inwardly believe in them, that's denial. That's what they mean by that's psychological denial. That's being in denial. You're ignoring them. You're trying not to look at them, right? You're denying them, but you're still believing in the solidity and the permanency of those conditions. Do you see the difference? Then that's being in denial. Saying one thing but believing another. Doing one thing but believing another. That's denial. That's resistance, and continues to perpetuate the undesired conditions, right, and events, attracting the more unwanted circumstances. That's what they mean by psychological denial. We're not talking about psychological denial. What Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy, and all the spiritual greats are talking about when they say denying and ignoring 3D reality, they're talking about metaphysical denial. In other words, you're accepting those conditions, those unwanted conditions, those judged unwanted negative conditions, as one quantum possibility. But you're denying or ignoring the solidity and the permanency of those conditions. And you're calling forth your desired reality. This is big. Let's hit this. What Goddard, Murphy, Shin, and the other spiritual greats are referring to is metaphysical denial. Accepting the manifested form as one quantum possibility out of an infinite number of quantum possibilities. Non-acceptance is always resistance. Non-acceptance, criticism, condemning, right? All of that only results in a continuation in perpetuating an undesired reality, right? Seeing the infinite and instead accept it. Acceptance means you accept that form as one potential possibility. But the real metaphysical denial is in ignoring it. You're ignoring or denying the solidity of it, the permanency of it, right? The continued life of it, right? Seeing the infinite energy and potential behind the form. You're seeing the energy and potential behind that form. That's what metaphysical denial means. You're ignoring and denying the perceived solidity and permanency of the manifested form and changing it into your desired reality. How? By choosing again. So you're accepting that reality. That's one quantum possibility, right? It has a right to exist. You're not denying its right to exist. Then you're choosing again by lighting up your imagined future, by focusing on your desired end. You're denying or ignoring the permanency of that form, the solidity of that form, knowing that it's changing as you choose. As you're choosing, it's changing. Wow, that's big. Seeing the unwanted reality serving a higher purpose and leading you to your desired end. You're seeing every reality, every manifested outcome, right? Everything that you might judge as negative or even positive, it's all leading you to your desired end. You're no longer seeing them as unwanted or negative. You're accepting them merely as possibilities and as a manifested form, as potential in form. And then you're calling forth your new outcome, your desired outcome. That's big today. So Ignoring it and denying it by deeming it as bad and unacceptable only creates a reality of bad and unacceptable conditions and events. That's why, so doing that only deems it, that's denial, right? Right? You're just creating bad and unacceptable events by denying them or trying to ignore things that you think are bad or unacceptable. Then you're in denial, right? The key is don't label them at all. Label them as an event, one quantum possibility, one form that you know that you do not agree with. You accept it as one possibility, but you don't agree with it, right? While accepting it as one manifested quantability and denying and ignoring, the outcome is fixed and unchangeable, right? You create and choose your desired end. So ignoring it and denying it by deeming it bad or unacceptable only creates a reality of unacceptable conditions, events. While accepting it as one manifested quantum possibility and then denying and ignoring the outcome as fixed and unchangeable, you're denying it that it's not fixed. You're denying that it's fixed. You're denying that it's permanent. You create and choose your desired end, right? Non-acceptance, complaining, criticizing, and condemning all keeps that undesired reality real, right? Now you're in denial. By non-acceptance, by complaining, by criticizing, by condemning, that's when you're in denial, right? You're trying to turn away from it. You're trying to say that you didn't create it. You're trying to say that it's not right that it's here, right? But yet you keep believing in it by making it non-acceptable, by complaining, by criticizing. It only solidifies and makes more real the undesired reality. It creates the problem and doesn't allow the solution to be revealed. Do you hear? You just keep creating and recreating the problem. The solution's right there. Your desired end is right there. So remember, everything, condition, and event is neutral until you judge and label it. Right? Here you are. Here's the 3D experience. It's the reflection. It's the seen manifested reality. That's your outer experience of reality. At the same time is the image being created. There you are. Your thoughts, feelings, assumptions, belief, and state of being. That image is being created. So every time you reject, every time you deny, but still believe in it, you're still creating the same reflection in the 3D world. So you can look at this and condemn it and reject it, right, and not accept it. But that only solidifies the image of the unwanted on the other side of the metaphysical mirror. Do you see it? That unseen physical reality. You're just recreating the same image, right? Reacting negatively to 3D manifested reality makes no sense. Why? Your reactions create that consolidating around that image. Every thought, feeling, assumption, and belief in that now moment is reinforcing the reflection in 3D reality. So it makes no sense to be waiting, condemning, non-accepting, criticizing anything in 3D because you just keep creating it, right? That becomes your state of being, right? Your state of being is always reflected out in the 3D image, right? To label, to criticize, to condemn, to complain about 3D manifested reality makes no sense, right? And remember, guys, that those reactions, those inner thoughts, those inner feelings, those inner beliefs are always being created and recreated in the now moment. You're always consolidating around your state of being or that image. So you can look at that reflection, you can accept it as one quantum possibility, and then you can ignore and deny the permanency and the solidity of it, and call forth the new image that you want. That's power. That's denying and ignoring conditions and manifesting your desired end. I am your host, Tom Karen, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, thank you, and members, thank you for being a part of Be Something Wonderful. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for considering joining the membership channel. Thank you for liking the videos, for sharing the videos, for comments. Your comments are lovely, they're powerful, they're insightful. I love them all. Thank you for visiting our Instagram and Twitter at Tom Karen, our Facebook page at Be Something Wonderful, and also our group, the Be Something Wonderful Ambassadors, which is open for you to share guidance and insight with other members of the group. And that's at facebook.com/groups/be-something-wonderful. And for all that information and more, just go to our website anytime at tomcaron.com or be-something-wonderful.com. With great love, with great light and infinite gratitude, creators, see you soon.